Welcome along to 98 Not Out. Remember to spread the word, tell your friends, get involved. And this week I've got a very special guest. Let's get into it. It's a huge pleasure, and I've got such a big smile on my face to see this man's face back at the county ground again after I don't know where he's been. Maybe he's going to fill me in where he's been for the last few years, but it's an absolute pleasure to welcome to the show Chris Silverwood. Chris, how are you?
Good, thank you. And thank you for that introduction. It's been a bit of a journey since we last spoke. Been around a few times, got a few air miles under my belt, a few experiences.
Oh
But yeah,
yeah.
a few experiences, but it's honestly, it's great to come back. It really is. Walking back through the gate here again. And I mean, seeing some of the old faces that obviously were here last time I was here, but and obviously meeting some of the new people that are here as well. It's just an excitement about the place, and it's a real pleasure to be back, to be honest.
Does it feel like putting on a pair of old comfy slippers walking back through the gates?
It is like it's sort of the same but a bit different, if that makes sense. It's the same in respect of we spoke about. There's still a few guys, I mean, the guys around, some of the older players that were here last time. But equally, when I look at the squad, there's plenty of change in there as well. There's some exciting young players coming through. Um, Equally, there's some work to be done as well, some gaps to be filled. So there's a good challenge in front of us, which is something that I always enjoy. But like I say, it's coming back and some of the old staff. It's great to get talking to them again, and yeah, it feels like I've come home. Really, it's brilliant.
Let's wind the clock back 10 years or so when Essex were Div 2, doing well, had good players around. I've got a picture on the wall there of the squad up there from 2014, and it's quite amazing when you look down the names. But you were part of the sort of turnaround in fortunes. I think you were assistant coach at the time under Paul Grayson when you were first came on the scene. Was that right?
Well, I did a bit of all sorts when I first came to the scene. Arrived at Essex in 2010 from my first coaching gig, which was actually Mashonaland in Zimbabwe. That was my first coaching gig when I retired from playing. Well, actually, I'd not retired from playing at that point. I found out from Sky that I'd retired. So somebody texted me and said, "Seeing you've just retired," I'm like, "Have I?" But to be fair, I was on the way out. I was still officially playing a bit just in case we were short on the Shonland, but the coaching started. But yeah, PG called me, asked if I'd consider coming back to obviously take on the bowling coach role here at Essex, which I did. So I did the bowling coach role and then did the second team role for a while, which was a great experience. And then assistant coach, and then obviously as a head coach.
And almost instant success once you were in the big job.
Yeah, I think there's a process really happening all the way along, and I was lucky that obviously I could see what was happening from the inside when I got the uh, opportunity to make some decisions. I was able to make them from an educated point of view, from where obviously I'd seen the club going and where it had been, and the players I had around me and the personnel I had around me, and we managed to come up with a decent plan, which we'd formulated and put the right people in place. We a couple of good signings. Obviously, we got Harmer on board, uh, uh, got Mohamed Amir across, Wagner. So we made a couple of good signings there, strategic ones that would help. But I think, I mean, Harmer was a big one. When you look at, we didn't set ourselves up to win the second division. It's like, what would we need to win the first division? And if we're good enough at that, we'll be good enough to get out of the second division. And it proved that it works really. Uh, so yeah, listen, the guys were brilliant. They bought into it. Alistair Cook came back, obviously took a leading role at the top of the order for us again. But it really felt like the club got behind the plan. There's an excitement about it, not just on the field, but off the field as well. You know what I mean? From everybody, from the guy that parks in the car park to the guy doing the scoreboard, to the clean, everybody. I mean, it all became sort of one. Really, it really felt that way. And we got the success from that, and thankfully, it built a nice foundation. Obviously, once I had moved on to other jobs, that Mads was able to keep that going and grow the success really. And obviously, the club's done some fantastic things since then.
It was a real critical, almost like a pivot point, and a lot of Essex supporters and members were really concerned that we were losing Dave Masters, Graham Napier, James Foster, all in quite, you know, quick succession. And there was a real kind of worry about what would happen to the club. But it was actually, from the what you're saying with the plan, that it was a springboard to bigger and greater things.
Yeah, so I mean, I think whenever one of the top guys is looking to retire in any sports team, really, there's always that worry of, well, when he's gone, who's going to get those wickets or who's going to get those runs? Who's going to be the leader out there? The sort of experience I had is, I mean, as one person steps down, a door opens for someone else as well, and you never know who's going to come through that door. And we saw Ports came in, did a superb job for us, and then obviously Sam Cook, he comes in, and I mean, look where he is now, and it was the opportunity created by those guys, obviously moving on, that allowed them to come through in the first place. And I think if we all look back in our careers, we've all had that sort of defining moment where potentially somebody's been picked to go for England and left the gap, or somebody's retired, or somebody's been left out, and you get an opportunity and you go. So I think it's not something to be feared. It's certainly something that strategically you look at. So, I mean, it wasn't by chance that it happened. We did look at where the gaps were within our squad and what we needed to fill in order to be successful. And that's why we specifically targeted the people we did. But equally, you're working very hard in the background to make sure that these youngsters are coming through. And when a Masters or an Napier does step down, you have somebody that can come through that door and hopefully make it their own, which the two I've just spoken about did make it their own.
Yeah, I've always talked to anyone that would listen about the conveyor belt of success that Essex have done, and it goes back many, many years. And I tell people to just go into the indoor school and look at the honours board that's up there, and just look at some of the names that are on there, and it's just this complete, consistent production line of top grade talent that's come through. Is there any real secret to that? Because every county, they've all got academies, but Essex seem particularly adept in bringing youngsters through and polishing them to the finished product.
We have some very good people, but we're really hard behind the scenes. I mean, people like Barry Hyam, who's there in the academy and has been for ages. I mean, John Charles before him. You've got a couple of people that I've just mentioned there that were very, very dedicated in doing the job that they did, and help build that platform for the kids to use as a springboard to actually go and do bigger and better things. But even behind them, there's a lot of people working hard to go out there and work with the schoolboy cricketers and the schoolgirl cricketers now, to actually create opportunities and environments where they can come through and thrive, and actively go out there and, like, who is going to be the next Alistair Cook, who is going to be the next Jamie Potter or Sam Cook, where's the next Simon Harmer coming from. And it's the one thing I've always enjoyed of Essex, and it used to be the same when I was playing at Yorkshire. We used to have a lot of locals playing within that team, and I think when we won the championship, we have 8 Essex lads on that pack at any given point, which is a high number. So for me, it's, it complements the system that we have in place and the hard work that people are doing behind the scenes. And the trick is really that, we keep those people motivated to actually be doing that job for us, and we keep spreading the net far and wide and try to get the footprint of Essex as far as we can out there. So we're not missing anybody, and we're looking for them, and we're creating a pathway for them to get through. And helping them to develop and become the polished article that you've just talked about.
They've all come from Russ Green Hospital as well, haven't they? There's something in the water down there, isn't there?
Set up a recruitment plan down there.
I've heard about starting them early, but that's ridiculous.
Scouting from birth.
So I know you're someone that thinks a lot about the game and is a real sort of student of the game. Coming back to Essex, what have you learned from your experiences away from the club? What are you bringing back from your time away?
I think there's obviously a lot more experience in there of living, operating, and working in different environments. Take for Sri Lanka, for instance. You go work out there. First thing you've got to overcome is a language barrier. Everybody could understand English to a certain extent, Some could speak it well, some were limited. So obviously communication was a big thing for us out there. Again, learning different culture. Because I think if you're going to go work in a different country, you've got to immerse yourself in their culture as well and get to know it. And you gain respect from the local people by doing that, really, and you get more buy-in to what you're trying to do. But equally, it educated me in the fact that sometimes we like this organized, structured way of doing things. We like everything to be in its place and to run smoothly. At times it was absolute chaos out there, but you know what? It still worked. So it taught me about many ways of doing things. So I probably stress less about silly things really that I don't need to stress about. I mean, I suppose we all do as we get older, don't we? We figure that out. But even from a professional sporting perspective, actually, if something doesn't work first time, that's fine. We'll find a solution. And it taught me to constantly just find ways of getting things done. You're managing up, down, left, right, horizontally. It's quite interesting. I got to know a lot of politicians when I were out there because actually it's amazing
Yeah,
how closely linked
funny that.
cricket and politics are. To be honest, so again, that was another learning curve for me. But I think coming back, I've been away long enough, but I'm not going to be trying to teach the same dogs new tricks. If that makes sense. There is a lot of new talent and new blood within that team, as well as some of the older experienced heads that knew what we did last time was successful. And maybe some of those ways we need to go back, revisit, and sort of try and bring them back in. So it's, again, I suppose it's outlook, really, isn't it? We're looking to strengthen the pathways even more. So how do I support and how do we get better at producing those players you're talking about? How do we reach out into the communities more? There's no secret we have to bolster the fast bowling stocks. We've got three really good ones that are sat there at the moment. Obviously, Jamal just coming back from a stress reaction in his back. And then we've got some really good youngsters coming through. I mean, I walk in there, I feel short next to some of these guys. And they're all 6 foot plus and bowling with, good heat, very relatively young at their age. So again, how do we grasp that talent and bring that through? Essex have always been really good at producing batsmen. We've got some very talented young batsmen on the academies and in the age groups. So for me, it's really interesting now to get back into that and have a look at it. And okay, how do we pull this back together? How do we overproduce cricketers for Essex rather than just producing enough? I want to overproduce. And if those guys, some of them go to play for other councils, well, that's great as well. We just want them to be successful. But ultimately, we want to future-proof this place and make sure Essex continues to punch above its weight like we have for a long time and continues to produce England cricketers, which is what we're all very proud of as well.
And England captains.
And England captains. It's been a few of them, hasn't it?
And England coaches. It's
Yeah.
non-stop.
No, it's I don't believe this theory that you have to play for the big clubs to play for England or represent England. I think here at Essex, we've done a great job. Going way back past me to, obviously there's a rich history of international players and England players coming from here. And as you say, international England captains. And it's something that we want to continue and it's something we should be very proud of, to be honest. So I think it certainly disproves that theory. And I think it's something that we'll continue to try and do as well, because I think we all enjoy seeing our guys go on and play for England. And hopefully we'll see another one very soon.
Absolutely. Now, one other thing that I'm very excited about for this year, and will be one of the big changes since you were last at Chelmsford, is the arrival of Tier 1 women's cricket at Essex. Now, the squad of players that have assembled is absolutely fantastic. I mean, there's a draw of from the old setup, but that's got to be a really, really exciting thing for the club, and with the growth of women's cricket as well.
Well, I think that's the one thing that you talk about. I've been fortunate enough, I've bounced around in a few of the franchise leagues, met the owners, met the investors and things like that. And the one thing that they are all very excited about is a women's game. They see the potential growth in the women's game being massive, which is exciting in itself. The fact that Essex have got one of the teams is absolutely superb. And actually watching them train, which I have done now, they're in 3-4 times a week training. My worry is that they're overtraining rather than undertraining because they are so enthusiastic. They look athletic. They train very hard, and
Noisy.
they're noisy, but yeah, but meticulous with what they do as well. And yeah, I mean, they really, really do sort of nail down in training what they want to do, and they're methodical with what they do. And it's for me, it's been superb to watch. The coaches have been great with them, but the enthusiasm, unbelievable. It really is. So, I mean, there's an energy around the place when the girls are training in there. I think it's great, and I think it's watching some of the 100 this year as well, some of the skill that was on show. Uh, and I mean, the fact that you look in the crowd and you've got families, young girls watching. I mean, the women play cricket out there and inspiring them to do the same. I think it can only be a good thing, can't it? And it's for me, it's again, it's very exciting. And like I say, I'm very proud that we've got one of the teams here.
Yeah, even my daughter, who, having been surrounded by a cricket mad family, kind of never showed any interest. Now she's started at Leeds University and she's straight in the girls' women's cricket team up there. Unheard of. But that's the effect it
That,
has. I think, joking aside, is that that's the knock-on effect of how the sport or the effect that the success of women's cricket has reached out.
I agree with you. I think it's only going to get stronger because, like I say, the investment will be there for them. There's a lot of interest, and I just see it getting stronger and stronger and stronger. To be honest.
So back to the men's. Well, but men and women's at Essex are off to Abu Dhabi pretty soon for a pre-season warm up with. I believe there are some other counties. There's a few of you going out. Is it not Somerset, Warwickshire, and Yorkshire
That's correct.
in a pre-season tournament? That should be interesting.
Yeah, it'd be good actually. We're very familiar with the Yorkshire side, won't we? That is for sure, especially with the coaching setup, we will. But that'll be old mates getting back together. Uh, no, I think it's going to be good. Obviously, it's the first opportunity I will have to have a squad all together as well because there's been a lot of them away. We've had people in South Africa, a lot in Melbourne. Obviously, Cookie doing some of the Lions tours and whatever. So there's been relatively few of them sort of in and out of Chelmsford. So for me to get them all together at that point and sit them all down and get to know some of them, because I mean, some of the guys I haven't met yet, because when I came in, obviously December, they'd already disappeared away playing. But reports we've had is that they've all done very well. I mean, they've been working hard. So I'm looking forward to seeing all that come together. And like I said, to have them all in one place and to be able to sit down and obviously address them, talk to them about plans for this summer and just get things going. It's exciting. So we leave next Monday. And there's definitely a buzz around the place about doing that.
Yeah, and sort of looking out the window, the weather today, it's kind of like you can almost sniff the new season. The sun's out. There's a bit of warmth in the air. I noticed the tents come down at Chelmsford. We're getting nearer and
Yeah,
nearer.
we are. Stewie's out there. He's been working hard actually the last couple of weeks. He's been cutting the grass. But you're right. You get that feeling, that sort of smell of fresh cut grass in the air, and you know the cricket season's coming, so you get a little bit of spring in your step. It's just, but it is. I mean, this morning freezing, -2 when you leave home, but yet you get here, the sun's out, and you can see summer's it's coming. It's coming. So it's just about exciting phase because well, everybody's on 0 points again, but we're all starting again, and who knows what lies ahead of us, and we're all planning for it and looking forward to it.
Well, as an Essex fan, it is extremely exciting. And you know what? There hasn't been a season in the last decade or so where we haven't been there or thereabouts on one front or another. So, I've got the highest of hopes. But you know what? It doesn't matter because we'll all enjoy it. We know the players and the coaching staff, and in fact, everyone at the club give it their all. So there's never ever been a feeling of being let down by anyone or disappointment or whatever. And it's just when you get those moments of someone lifting a trophy and winning a championship, whatever it is, it just makes it all, and it just feels like we're all together on the same page with the whole thing.
Well, that's one of the things that was really important to us last time when I was here is that the whole club came together. I remember doing a presentation to the whole club. Basically, it wasn't just the players and the coaching staff; it was the office staff, guys from development board. I mean, we had absolutely everybody in that works here or attempts here. Myself and my chief exec said, "This is what we're trying to do, and we're all part of this." And it's, I mean, whether it, like I say, from the moment we're driving through the gates to the people that we meet there, it was always a case of, I mean, respect, attitude, and effort. Let's make sure we're above the line on all of those. And whether you win, lose, or draw, at least you know you've, as you've just quite rightly said, you're giving it your best shot. But we're all in this together. Uh, and funnily enough, there's obviously quite a few of the Essex fans that I actually stayed in touch with throughout the journey I've taken after that. And I mean, I bumped into them when I was in New Zealand with England. Bumped into them all over. So it was always nice when I met up with the Essex fans, which was great. So we shared some great memories. But I can guarantee you the players are desperate to continue to do what they've done. They've enjoyed the success. They've enjoyed seeing the smiles on the people's faces, the camaraderie that comes around the ground, that feeling of competing. I mean, I think we used the line, we want to make our presence felt when we got up into Division One. I think, I mean, certainly the players and everybody exceeded the expectations what we had there to go on and actually do what they did. But they still want to do it, and the hunger and the fire and the desire is still there. So let's, I mean, stoke that fire and let them rip again, and let's see what we can do. But it's now they will. I mean, everybody I've talked to is desperate to keep bringing success back to Essex, and that's what we're all determined to do. To be honest.
Yeah, and you know what, all the best to you and everyone there that we can. I'm sure there'll be smiles on our faces no matter what. There will be moments of magic. There will be performances. There will be results that make it all a bit easier for everyone. Chris, it's been an
Yeah, well,
absolute pleasure to catch up with
no
you.
problem. And
You're
you,
looking, you're looking so well. And can I
you're
say,
very kind.
can I say happy birthday as well? It's your birthday this week. I won't embarrass you by letting people know how old you are.
So, so another year older. You tend to forget, don't you, when you get to
God, well,
well, when I get to my age,
get
try
to
not to
my age and then
remember
you
anymore.
see how bad it gets.
Yeah, another year, another year. Time goes quickly, as we obviously spoke about before we started recording. And time does go very quickly.
It does. But time flies when you're having fun, as they say.
Absolutely.
Chris Silverwood, head coach and head of cricket at Essex County Cricket Club, the mighty Eagles. Many thanks for chatting to me and all the best for 2025.
Thank you.